Welcome to Spirit's Journey, coming to you live on Truth Frequency Radio and simulcast on Oneness Talk Radio. Your hosts are Patrick and Catherine Andrews.
Join us each week as we explore a wide range of metaphysical topics such as dreams, astrology, intuitive readings, and life purpose. You'll receive practical guidance so that you can live your most awesome life.
Learn more about what we do at intuitiveschool.com and connect with us on Facebook at Spirit's Journey Radio. Hello and welcome to Spirit's Journey. We are coming to you on Truth Frequency Radio. We are also being simulcast on Oneness Talk Radio. You can find us on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live. We're here in the Heartland holding the energy for spiritual truth and awareness. I'm Patrick.
And I'm Catherine. Welcome, everyone. We are so excited to have another amazing presenter from the Reignite Your Light event. Today we have Leanne Summers, and she has been a spiritual channel for the teachings of the Archangels and Ascended Masters of the 7 Cosmic Healing Rays since 2004. And after her spiritual awakening in 1998, which we're going to talk about today, these incredible beings of love and light guiding Leanne through every step of her spiritual journey. And now she lovingly channels their energy, messages, and teachings to others through her classes, workshops, private sessions, guided meditations, sacred sites, tours, and meditation retreat. So Leanne is a light worker for the light workers, and she genuinely cares about her spiritual mastery as well as that of others. She works with her guides to help seekers of truth and light to find greater connection, happiness, empowerment, peace, healing, and unconditional love. She can help you to awaken and nurture the authentic divine being that you are and give you access to your inner treasures and tools, your soul, and in addition to Leanne's training in the Akashic realms with her master teachers and guides, purpose and limitless spiritual resources and divine connection to the higher realms. So Leanne has just an amazing toolbox to share with us today. So welcome, Leanne.
Thanks, guys. Welcome back to you. Hi, nice to meet you.
So, Leanne, I've heard about the 7 rays, but I haven't worked with them directly. So can you tell us a little bit more about the 7 rays, the healing rays that you work with, and how they help people?
Absolutely. When we talk about the 7 rays, we're talking about 7 different divine frequencies of light that are a multitude of vibrations in each category of, I guess you could call it, different aspects of beingness. So to understand the allness of creation, the all-encompassing field of light that is everything in oneness, it's a lot to take in one bite. So you can really look at the system of the 7 rays as an organization system. So put in a different way, if you were to understand spirit, God, universe, creator, creation, it's a lot to take in at once. And the rays offer a program to really divide this part and that part so you can break it down into chunks and learn different parts of it. So each of those 7 rays offers a very particular gift of healing. They each address different topics. Each one of them brings in different vibrations, different frequencies to increase your amount of light and awareness. Each one of them has a set of guides and guardians that are here to be the example of what it's like to live as those vibrational rays manifested fully. And each one of them has so many multitudes of gifts that they offer the seeker. So everything in the universe is really composed of these 7 vibrations, or a combination of them, which would be called alchemy.
Alchemy, I've heard that term before. So that
they're the ingredients.
Yeah. So people usually think of alchemy as turning lead into gold, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how would alchemy be used for spiritual growth then?
Well, alchemy, in terms of using the 7 rays, really what each person that's alive is doing is they are working on their personal path towards the return to their light. In other words, lifetime after lifetime, we accumulate karma and we seek to create balance for ourselves. But as a soul, we come into each lifetime with a plan for ourselves. We look at the opportunities that we have to create lessons. We design for ourselves options on our path so that we can better ourselves, correct some mistakes we might have made in the past, or maybe experience a whole different life, a whole different set of feelings and expressions, and good times, bad times, a little bit of everything. So in each lifetime that we incarnate into, we pick one of these 7 paths to walk upon. And we select on that path a whole set of lessons that we want to master, that we want to practice mastering. And as we walk through a lifetime, the experiences that you have, the accomplishments that you experience, the things that you are setting as your goals, even the challenges that you come across on a daily basis, they're all there to hit the right buttons to help you learn the lessons that this specific ray is designed to help you heal. And then over the course of many lifetimes, you can achieve what's called ascension or enlightenment or mastery, whatever term is most comfortable to you, even Christhood or consciousness that's a higher consciousness. And once you achieve that level, the rays really help you to get there in an accelerated way. And so in the last couple of 100 years, there have been massive dispensations from Spirit to increase these rays on the planet and to give them to the human being so that they can really increase the speed at which they can reach their enlightenment and to heal the karma that they've accumulated, to balance all the things that they came here to balance so that we can just shine bright and be here in the world to serve and to be happy and to enjoy ourselves.
And so with the 7 rays, now we have access to all of them, but are you saying that so each person has one particular ray that is their path and is the strongest for them?
Yes, absolutely. So when I say that you have access to them, it's kind of like if I told you that you had a bunch of tools in your toolkit sitting in the trunk of your car and you didn't even know that you had a trunk in your car. The moment I tell you have a trunk in your car, you're going to open it and then you're going to find all these amazing tools. But until you have an awareness of what's possible, you don't necessarily connect to it. So once somebody knows that the rays exist and that these frequencies are 1,000% designed to help you, and as a matter of fact, they're already manifesting through every part of your life, and most easily you can find the evidence of them in the 7 chakras that make up your light body, or the central channel of your light body. So the themes of the rays match, not necessarily in color, but they match the tones, the frequencies, and the purposes of what your chakras govern over. So your chakras become like the channels for these rays, the expressions of them in this physical light body.
Wow, that's fascinating. So
Yeah.
Do these rays have names, or do they just have qualities of energy associated with them?
No, they actually have names, and they're named by their color. So the first one is the blue ray. That's probably the most popular one, and I'll tell you why in just a second. But the order of them goes blue, yellow, pink, white, green, golden ruby, and then finally the violet. The most popular one is probably the violet, because most metaphysical light workers have heard of the tool of the violet flame, which is one of the tools that's accessible to people who are working with the violet ray energy. And then the other one that's the most popular would probably be the blue ray, or I should say the guides on that ray would be the most popular, because many people have heard of Archangel Michael, who is the archangel representative in the masculine form of what the embodiment of that ray really looks like.
Interesting. Yeah, so I have heard of the violet flame, but I wasn't aware that the violet flame was related to the 7 rays. So that's
absolutely. Yeah.
And can you kind of give us an idea of some of the qualities of some of the other rays so that, you know, and what the process is for somebody to be able to identify which ray is the strongest for them?
Absolutely. So I'll start from the beginning and I guess go from number 1 through number 7.
Sure.
So on the blue ray, we find that it is the expression of power. It is all about helping you to stand in your power. The healing aspect of it is that it releases your fear and it transforms fear into faith. At the most simple level, that's the best way that I can describe it. So for those beings who are walking a blue ray path in this lifetime, they're constantly going to be encouraged to express themselves, not just to voice themselves, but express their authenticity and their truth, to become more and more confident in the way that they express who they are, what they wish to offer to the universe, what is in their hearts, to express their feelings, their thoughts, their opinions, and so on and so forth. So that's the masculine quality of that ray. The feminine quality is all about surrender and becoming serene in any given moment and mastering what it's like to truly live fearlessly. So imagine for just a moment if you had that sensation where there's a real absence of fear. You would be completely tranquil. You would really know what it is to be in serenity. So for people who are on this ray, they're the warriors. They are powerful. They're strong. They seek to challenge the darkness. Right? They are the protectors, and they are the authority figures, and they are the empowerers of the world. So it's not just about a specific job that you could do. You can take those qualities into any job that you have. but it's the essence behind it, where you are always looking to speak your truth, stand in your power, own yourself, own your position, and then be able to express that with love without imposing your will on others, but being in your willpower. The yellow ray, stop me if you have any questions, okay?
All right, you're doing good.
Yellow ray is most closely linked to the crown chakra. So the yellow ray is all about bringing in higher wisdom, enlightenment, helping you to seek and find inspiration, and actually to help you find the path of beauty. So the archangels on that ray are really there to bring in the light, to turn on the light in any and all dark spaces. They are there to inspire people to get out of their stuck holes, to think beyond what they think they're capable of, to inspire with philosophy and poetry and beauty the people of the world. They really just bring the light. They brighten everything up. They lighten everything up. They are truly the ones that shine. So I love yellow ray beings. And you can easily identify people who are on that ray because they think everything's beautiful. They go, oh, that's beautiful. Isn't that beautiful? You're so beautiful. So people who say that are probably strong in the yellow ray.
Oh yeah, I've met people like that.
The next one is the pink ray, which really connects deeply to the chakra. So the pink ray, most obviously, is about unconditional love. But it's not just about the emotion of unconditional love. It's not just about building happy, healthy, loving relationships. It's really about learning about the substance of love itself, which is chi, or ki, or prana. It's life force energy. So in the system of the rays, when we get to pink, we're really looking at very creative mana. It is the essence of creation. You know how they say you've got to put your love into something to make it come to life?
Mm-hmm.
Or when women are pregnant, this was created out of love. Or even when two people are coming together and they say it's called making love, literally what we're doing is we're manufacturing the pink ray chi. And when you can learn to use that chi to manifest something that you would like to create, and you have plenty of the substance of love to work with, you can really accomplish anything. So the pink ray is really a ray for artistry, for the creative types, people who are the lovers of the world, the relationship coaches of the world, people who have this primal need to love and be loved, not because it's a mission, but because it's their essence. So anybody who puts their love into something could have a very strong, passionate heart. It's also the ray of kindness, gratitude, appreciation, recognition, and so many other frequencies.
So I have a question that just came to mind because you talked about yellow relating to people who are really creative. Would that be kind of a fair assessment of the yellow?
The creativity I would put more in, anybody can be creative across the board, but to take the creative material of the light and then to manifest from that, that would be pink ray. So the creativity on the yellow ray is more about inspiration, to become inspired, to get an enlightened idea, to... Have you ever had one of those aha moments where an idea came into your head completely out of nowhere, and it was the next meaning to life that you needed to know so you could take that next step forward?
Yes.
That's how yellow ray works. First, it's not there. You ask the question, and then you bring it in. So in a lot of ways, you can think about working with the yellow ray like accessing God's internet. It's about communication to your higher mind, to your higher self, to your guides and guardians. It can help you to develop claircognizance and really just give you access to the Akashic Records. As a matter of fact, the teachings from the Akashic Records falls under the categories of the yellow ray because it gives you access to higher wisdom and information about yourself.
So I've also... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I was just going to give a comparison. I was going to say, for example, on the pink ray, one of the teachings, one of the modalities that's on the planet that associates back to the pink ray as a pink ray teaching would be Reiki. So that's a technique that has been rediscovered from the monks on how to really awaken the heart and how to do hands-on healing through the transmission of a frequency that is unconditional love and light. And what they're really channeling there is the channeling of the pink ray.
Interesting. So where is the pink color generated? Because I've heard of pink being associated with love, and some of the things that you were describing with the pink ray, were related to love. So how is the pink generated in that ray?
Well, think of primary colors for just 1 second, Patrick. You've got I'm sure you've known this since kindergarten or maybe before, that there are three primary colors, and that from those three colors, everything else in creation can come together. And my image is, if you go to Home Depot, I don't know if you have Home Depots in Kansas, I'm sure you probably do. When I buy a can of paint, there's a plain white canvas, there's white paint, and then they mix in a drop of this, a drop of that, and it's always from those three primary colors. You add just the right ingredients, and then you get the next combinations. You can create infinite variety from there. But going back to what you were asking, these three primary colors, I guess you could say, let me backtrack. I hesitate to call one ray the love ray, because there is so much love in every single ray. Like, I would never say that Archangel Michael isn't a loving being. I would actually attribute love to every single one of them. I would think that love is like God. It's all-encompassing feeling when you know that you're not trying to love. It's a natural thing within you. You're made of the substance of love, which would be the pink ray. You have the intelligence of what love really is, which would be the higher consciousness, the consciousness of love. That would be the yellow ray. And you have the strength and power of love backing you up, which would be like the blue ray. So there's love across the board on all of these.
All right. Well, I didn't mean to sidetrack you too far there, so you can go ahead and continue with the descriptions.
No, it's quite okay. And this is a really good time for me to throw in something that's perfectly timed in here. So with those first three rays, when a student of the rays has mastered at least the basic level of blue, yellow, and pink, one of the really neat things that happens is the spiritual flame inside of the heart chakra then ignites. And when we talk about a spiritual awakening, we're really talking about some very alchemical procedures and processes that are happening inside of the light body. And that's not something, in my experience, you can force. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. It's one of those things. When you are ready to really turn on and reignite your light in this human body, that's what happens. It can happen because you read a book. It can happen because you were sparked by a conversation. You might literally spontaneously just have a heart burst, and there you go, your light just got turned on. So for people who've had a spiritual awakening, they would have their own reason for that having been triggered. But in the rays, when you're studying the rays, the blue, the yellow, and the pink come together and they ignite the heart flame, which are really the three aspects of every single being on the planet. Your strength is your blue, your consciousness is your yellow, and your love is your pink. So there are those three flames literally dancing inside of the heart. And in the system of light that is your body, they run through your chakras and connect all those things. So once your heart flame gets ignited, the next step of awakening is to have your kundalini begin to rise up through your spine. And I'm sure you guys know a little bit about your kundalini energy. That would most closely be related to the white ray. So the white ray is number 4. It falls right in the middle. There's 3 before and there's 3 afterwards. And it creates the foundation of light for all of the other rays. It is literally representative of your root chakra, which is the one that it's the most connected to, creating a centering and a grounding into every space that you occupy, making sure that you are always constantly standing securely in your strength, and then helping you to find what they call hope. So hope is a feminine aspect of that ray, and that evolves into optimism and being omnipresent with spirit anytime, anywhere, knowing the presence of God is in all things, and then really being able to connect to that and having divine participation with it. So when you can stand here and now in your light, anything is possible. And that is the way for optimism, hope, security, real inner power, knowing what your light is capable of doing. And oftentimes that's where the awakening might happen. I find that the people who are on that path, that life path, they're oftentimes the ones that create order out of chaos. They are the builders of the universe. So many construction workers are on this ray, and people who are general contractors, people who build projects, the administrators of the world, they're all on this ray, the ones that keep order, to keep everybody in line, to set the stage for something great. And also, believe it or not, a lot of insurance salesmen are on this ray because their job is to create assurance that you are safe, and safety and security are paramount on this ray.
Yeah, interesting.
So the other three that come afterwards are really combinations of the previous ones. The next one, number 5, is green, which is the mix of blue and yellow. So when you take power and consciousness and put those two together, what happens is you really create and manifest intelligence, higher mindedness, the awareness of the laws of the universe, and how to really manifest in this plane of existence your hopes, your dreams, your desires, your wellness, your healing abilities, your psychic abilities. That's where we can start having fun with the third eye. So the green ray is probably one of my most popular classes because everybody wants to be a healer or a psychic that I've come across. Pretty obvious, but also the Archangel Raphael is the head of the team on that ray, and he's pretty incredible and very well known. So on that ray, you've got lots of healers, doctors, nurses, naturopaths, people who are in the healing arts. Have you ever noticed that doctors always wear green scrubs?
Yeah, yeah.
What a perfect reflection of your green ray, and they don't even realize they're doing it. So that ray is really quite fantastic. And when you get into the heart of it, when you start going a little deeper into the ray, that's when you can start repairing at a deeper level your DNA, your physical body, your light body, repairing your chakras, moving out into the outer layers of your aura, repairing some of the things that your whole light body is really like technology. So when I've worked on this ray, every time I channel green, I feel like I am a technician or a scientist. It's very high-mindedness where I'm looking at the structure of the light and making sure that its lines are clean and clear, and that the acupressure points are working right, and that the meridians are running straight through the body and things along those lines. So the green ray is really interesting.
Well, it's interesting because some of the early healing techniques that I learned, actually, you would visualize green as you were healing a different part of the body. So I've seen the color green incorporated into different healing techniques over the years.
That makes perfect sense. And oftentimes when I'm working with clients who are actually going through physical illness, when I tell them to close their eyes, take a couple deep breaths, and welcome in whatever appropriate rays they need, one of the first ones that always comes in is emerald green.
I love the color emerald green.
Very consistent. I do too. So the last two, number 6 is called the golden ruby ray. And that's actually the ray that I'm on in this lifetime. That's my life path ray. And that ray is really dedicated to devotion, to service, to uplifting from lower consciousness to higher consciousness, any part of your being, and ultimately to learning how to work with grace, going with the flow as opposed to being a salmon and swimming upstream, learning to allow your magnificence to just be, learning to get out of the way, flowing with grace, and then when you need some help with divine intervention, to really allow grace to come and take you, maneuvering you through the fabric of creation, truly into that place where you need to be in any given moment. And ultimately, that ray heals lots and lots of conflict, and brings in peace, unconditional peace, passion, helps you to find your purpose. It works with your solar plexus, so it heals all kinds of lower vibrations, especially the emotions that we hold that are lower emotions or base emotions. So not the loving kind, that's the higher version of emotions, that's the heart center, but the kind where you ask yourself, how do I feel about being me? Do I like myself? Am I confident? Am I secure? Basically all the words that begin with self-confidence, self-assurance, self-love, self-respect, they all belong to that soul center that is your solar plexus chakra. And so the golden ruby ray really helps to heal resentment, disgrace, really anything that is not grace, they consider disgrace on that ray. So if you have blame, shame, guilt, pain, suffering, sorrow, again, resentment is a really big one, hatred, core fear, anxiety, things like that are all healed by the golden ruby ray. So on this ray, many people come on and they become servants to others. And I mean that in the highest possible way. They're here to serve a higher purpose. They are here to be teachers of service, administrators to people, helping them to find their light, to grow, to change, to ameliorate their situations in life, to know themselves better. So many, many teachers of higher consciousness fall upon this ray, or the peacemakers of the world fall upon this ray. One of the interesting things that would tell you that you are on this ray is actually not that you're at peace. If you find yourself constantly in the midst of conflict and you're the only one that's not going crazy, it's because you're the one bringing the light of the golden ruby ray, the peace, into a conflict situation. So people who are working on mediation, conflict resolution, things along those lines, or even just being the one in the family that tells everybody to peace out. Everybody calm down.
We all need somebody like that in the family, right?
Exactly. We can do this. Let's just everybody woosah. Those are highly influenced by the golden ruby ray. And then again, there's a lot of spiritual practice on this ray. So once you get into the last 3 rays, they're more advanced frequencies. So they're more advanced souls that choose to walk those 3 paths.
Wow, this is fascinating.
It takes muscles. It takes muscles to get on those ones. Yeah.
Well, this is fascinating stuff, but we are coming up on our break. So we're going to be taking a short break, and we will have more of Leanne on the other side. And in the meantime, please remember to check our Spirits Journey page on Truth Frequency Radio. Truth Frequency Radio is a listener-supported station, so you can become a supporter, and then you will gain access to all the archives from all time. 3 months are available for free, but you will gain access to all the archives in the past and for every show at the Spirits Journey page on Truth Frequency Radio. You are listening to Spirits Journey on Truth Frequency Radio, simulcast on Oneness Talk Radio. We will see you on the other side. Back from the break. You are listening to Spirit's Journey on Oneness Talk Radio and Truth Frequency Radio. We are here today with Leanne Summers. We are very excited to have her. We had a fascinating first break. Hopefully you were with us there. And so we were talking about the 7 rays.
There's one more to go. Leanne, if you want to fill us in on the last ray.
Absolutely. We talked about all the first 6, and the last one to go is the violet one, which we mentioned before. So the violet ray is truly called the ray of freedom. And it is a ray that heals judgment, which is something that everybody should work on. It heals liberation. I should say it liberates you from false beliefs, from limitations that you don't even realize that you've put on top of yourself, or the misunderstandings that you have accumulated by being domesticated or humanized. And in your experience of conditional love here in this plane of existence, oftentimes we have to release a lot of beliefs that hold us back. So the violet flame, or the violet ray, is the ray that we go to transmute lower frequencies into higher frequencies. It's the ray that we have alchemy on, that we learn how to let go of negativity and positivity. It teaches us to care for ourselves and to treat ourselves well with a lot of dignity. And in the ultimate sense of the ray, when you really start going into the core of it, it helps you to feel like a majestic being. It's there to help you really feel your authenticity, to help you know that you're amazing, and to truly set you free from everything that could be a lower vibration. So it is the ray for anybody who's on the legal teams, anybody who's fighting for what's right in the world. And that doesn't mean you have to be a judge or a lawyer. That just means that you're always concerned about that's right or that's wrong. It's the ray for people who really want to do a lot of cleanup in the world around them. And everybody can access the violet flame as a tool to help take the negative energy of this world and transmute it back into the light. So in essence, it restores perfection, because everything is energy. And when that energy gets corrupted or polluted by fear, by forgetfulness, by anything really, the way to get it back into perfection is on the violet energy.
That's a definite important flame for sure. Then, so Leanne, it's interesting because I've studied, I was telling you earlier, I've been studying metaphysics for like 25 years, and it's something I have never really come across the rays. So this is fascinating to me. So I'd love to find out, how did you meet your guides and how did you get introduced to the rays?
Completely by accident, actually. I certainly never heard of this before in my life. I was stunned when I met my first guide and fell in love immediately right after I was done shaking in my boots. It started for me right when I was about to turn 22 years old. So when I was 21, I had my spiritual awakening, and I didn't have a spiritual practice back in those days. I wasn't looking for anything metaphysical. I wasn't training in any way. I wasn't attending services at any kind of church or anything like that. I really was just out of college. I was looking for my path in life. I had accomplished everything, honestly, that everybody told me that I was supposed to do. I had everything on their checklist checked off. And then I guess I started to ask the question in my heart, who am I? I wanted to know my role. And spontaneously, one day, I ran into somebody who had hurt me very, very badly. And all of a sudden, in that moment, I had this wave of panic from this repressed energy deep, deep, deep inside of me that shot up from inside and full on overtook me. At the same time, I had the experience of an incredible source of peace coming down around my body. And it felt like I got encapsulated inside of some kind of a chamber of energy. I didn't have any reference to energy. I didn't have any reference to anything. Trust me, I was raw. I had no idea of anything. So when this bubble of light literally came down around me, there were some really incredible things that I felt. For example, the absence of fear. In that exact moment, the entire panic attack I was in the process of having disappeared. And my thoughts became accelerated, my feelings became accelerated, all my sensations became accelerated, heightened, and much more sensitive. And then I realized that inside of my bubble, time was even different. I was in real time, and everything outside of the bubble that I could see passing by, literally people walking by, looked like they were going in slow motion. It was the weirdest thing. It takes me forever to explain it, but it took seconds to realize what was going on. So as I became encapsulated in this sensational field, I heard a voice talking in my head that I many years later found out was my guardian archangel. But at that time, I wasn't aware of angels. I didn't expect to have guides, but I knew it was a voice that wasn't mine that was talking to me in my head, who said, "You have to forgive him." And I argued with that voice quite resoundingly. I don't want to, and he doesn't deserve it, and why should I? And she very simply explained to me that you're at a crossroads. And I think there's some moments in our lives when we just get to that point where one single decision can transform your life. And it was exactly that in that moment, that I had a choice to either do the hard thing against my own will and give an act of forgiveness and get on the path that she was guiding me to, or not. And it took every bit of courage that I had, every bit of curiosity that I had, every bit of trust and faith I had to agree to do this, because I really truly believed that I didn't want to do it and he didn't deserve it. And yet I realized that I was holding on to this energy inside of me. And when we have things that happen in our life that we don't resolve, that we don't process immediately, we repress them. They get stored inside of our bodies, and that's ultimately what causes sickness. But again, I didn't know any of that back then. So I had an opportunity here, and I was smart enough to realize that this was quite a miraculous thing. And so I swallowed my pride and I agreed to do what I was told. And then grace showed up, literally. The opportunity to do it in person shifted into an opportunity for me to do it in an easier way, which was to write a letter, because he refused to come and speak with me. And I just kind of took a deep breath and sighed with relief. And in that next second, I still had to do the work, but I got the dispensation to do it in an easier way without having to do it in person. And as soon as I was done writing that letter, it was like my soul opened up and everything that I had repressed came pouring out of me like Niagara Falls. I bawled my eyes out. I got up, I walked out of the space that I was in and headed out to the car and really released. I've never had a release like that in my life. And I didn't pay attention to the fact that this spirit, this being, this incredible force of love was around me still, but she was. And when I thought to myself, wow, where did that come from? And what else do I have stored inside of me that just does not belong there? That it's not mine. I've been holding on to it far too long. there was a list that she literally wrote on the screen of this bubble, and there were hundreds of names. Then my whole life had accumulated all these instances where I had held on to my hurt feelings and my difficult emotions, and rather than expressing them and hurting someone else, which is not in my nature to do because I'm a really loving being, I had repressed them, and it ended up hurting me. And when I realized this, I looked at this list and I felt her love around me, and I just said, there's really nothing better for me to do in this moment in my life than to start at the top of that list and to get to the bottom of it, no matter how long it takes, and to reclaim this space inside of my soul for myself. So that's exactly what I did for the next 2 weeks. I made phone calls, I wrote letters, I meditated, I prayed, I threw rocks into the ocean, whatever it took to release the resentment, the pain, the whatever it was that I was harboring towards anybody. And sometimes it was really just, it wasn't about them. It was that I never spoke up for myself. I never said my truth. So that whole experience wasn't done with harm. It was only done with pure love. And I set the stage for that in every conversation, that I just needed somebody to hold space so I could express myself with love. And as I did that, I purged so much from so many years of holding on and holding on and holding on, that I got catapulted into my light. And by the second week of this experience, I literally felt like I had been pulled up through my chakras and hovered above my body, looking back down at the world. And that was a very interesting experience. I felt connected to the universe. I felt like I could feel the field of creation breathing with me. I felt so much love for every human being that I met. I was able to instantaneously be psychic, to read people, to connect, to do healings, all these things that I had never heard of before. All my gifts turned on and were supremely amplified in that time frame. All the while, I never thought for 1 second about any moment in the past. I never focused on any moment in the future. I truly just hovered in the now, and I listened breath by breath to what my soul needed from me in that moment. And I bowed to it. I obeyed it. I listened to it. I did some crazy stuff too. Like all of a sudden I needed to have red hair. So there you go. I went and dyed my hair red, which I'd never done before. There were times when I needed to walk around barefoot, and I did for days just because I needed to get grounded, and I'd never done that before. And even in those silly little things, just learning to honor myself and what my soul needed was quite powerful. And when I landed from that journey, probably 3 weeks later, from the beginning point, I should say, I hovered over top of me and I saw my body, and I literally remember coming back in through my crown, and I felt my feet touch the earth again. And once that happened, I took a big deep breath and I was like, oh, I'm back. What do I do now? And I checked to see if the universe was still in my head, and I checked to see if the love was still around me, and it was still there. And they said, well, now it's your turn to take this into the world. And so that's exactly what I started to do. I started searching for a way that I could bring some of these amazing experiences that I didn't even have words for to others, to share that message of hope and peace and love and purpose and just supreme love. So much love. So much love that it wasn't even about love. And so I researched every healing modality and all the metaphysics of the world and gathered every pamphlet and brochure that you could imagine. And I began my journey, honestly, in my human self, looking for modalities by training in Reiki. And when I opened my Reiki channel in my first Reiki class, it felt like home, to be honest. It felt exactly to me like I now had a channel in this human light body to be able to channel this energy that I had just hovered in for weeks. And I was so grateful for it. And then one day, a couple years later, because I went through my Reiki journey really fast, I became a Reiki master within 6 months. And then I did an internship with them and became a teacher a year later. And ever since then, I've been teaching. As a matter of fact, when my teacher decided to retire, she asked me to take over the program for her. And so that's one of the things that I do now. And I'm really honored to be a part of Love and Touch Center and to carry on her legacy and to help so many people, connect to unconditional love and give them tools in that way. And then after that, I trained in Akashic Records. And when I did Akashic Record training, all of a sudden I tapped back into this consciousness. So the next phase of my learning was to connect to the Akashic Records. And once I was done training in the Akashic Records, I realized that my psychic connection went from having a landline connection to the internet to having a DSL connection to the internet. Everything came faster and more intensely. And instead of it feeling far away, it felt very, very close. So between being able to channel the love of the universe and using my Reiki channel for that, and then being able to connect the messages and hearing guides, that's when it started to get really interesting. And I was doing a Reiki session one day, and Archangel Michael showed up and literally took over half of my body. And when I opened my eyes, I had a hot mess panic attack and asked him for help, not knowing that it was him who was doing this. And my teacher always said, if something weird happens while you're doing Reiki, just call for Michael and he'll be there to help you. And so I asked for Michael, and it's Leanne, it's me. I'm like, you who? So he's like, it's me, it's Archangel Michael. And I asked, what are you doing here? And he's really funny. His answer to me, he goes, what do you mean? You invited me, which I always did at the beginning of every session. I would always invite him to be a protector. And I said, but you've never taken over my body. What's going on? And he said, well, this person needs me. Can I channel through you? And in that moment, I was smart enough to say, you can come into me and we can share space, but don't kick me out. I had heard of trance channeling, and the people who are the trance channels don't have much fun because they have no recollection of what takes place, in my opinion. And so I said, is it possible if I could just kind of like get real small and I'll sit in my ear and you can do your thing, but I want to watch? And he said, absolutely. And so from there, that's where it really got interesting. I started working with him. It started in Reiki sessions, and then I developed meditation and astral travel techniques to be able to go into the higher realms in spirit and to travel into the etheric planes. And I wish I could teach that to somebody, but my big secret on that is I said, hey, Michael, can we astral travel? And he said, sure. That night, he showed up at my bedside, and there we went, and off we went. So next thing I knew, I was having these incredible dreams and traveling into these temples of light and being told by these incredible archangels and ascended masters to step into these cosmic flames, which are these immense beams of light that are held for all of humanity in these etheric spaces. They used to be here on the planet, and then the energy got too dense here that they got placed in a different realm, but now we can still access them. And so every time I walked into these beams of light, I would get upgraded energetically. I would receive an attunement. And this went on for years. I spent, I would have to say, 2 to 3 years every night, every day, meeting them in spirit, stepping into the rays, getting an attunement, learning a lesson, working with a guide, and then waking up in the morning, remembering what I was trained in, and then having experiences in my day that would just show up out of nowhere to give me a way to put into practice the teachings that I'd learned the night before. And so that went on for 3 or so years until my final lesson, when they decided to integrate. And they all gathered together, all of my guides, 14 ascended masters, 14 archangels, and then a few more on the crew that are my higher teachers. And they all came forward today and they said, Leanne, here's your final lesson. We're all a part of you. Because I spent 3 years literally loving them as separate entities, as they would be loved, and appreciating them and being so grateful to them. And when they showed up and they said, here's the trick, we've been showing you, but in our images. These are all aspects of you. That was the hardest lesson for me to face. And I could look at Michael and recognize his incredible strength. And I could look at Jophiel and see the way that he shines the light without wavering for a heartbeat. I could take a look at the violet flame and know that those guys on the violet flame were capable of alchemy. But the last lesson was to know that I could too. And so that was a very interesting day. And when I completed my training, almost immediately in my humanity, I had a massive crisis in my life. Literally, my whole world came crashing down on every front: mental, physical, spiritual, emotional. The rug got pulled out from under my feet when I wasn't looking, and I crashed and burned. We'll put it that way. And I was left with absolutely nothing. I had no strength to even take another breath. And that was the moment that I turned to God. And I said, be with me what you will. I'm happy to put myself in your hands, to be your servant, to be your messenger. But I'm exhausted. I don't know what direction to turn. I have no free will of my own. I mean, I did, but I literally did not have the strength to even take in a deep breath. And I said, I'm yours. Will you have me? And from that moment on, I truly felt like every decision that I've ever made has been guided. I have walked a beautiful, incredible path where I feel so supported on every journey that I take. I float in an ocean of grace. I have friends in spirit that are there for me anytime. I'm so happy to be able to share them with the world. And it's led me down this incredible journey that I never would have known I could do. Really, truly.
So this is an amazing, sounds like your own spiritual journey. And so if I'm right about that, what does it mean to even be on a spiritual journey? Because obviously
Well,
it's not a cruise ship where it's all wonderful, because it described you had a dark night of the soul where you said you lost everything, spiritual, mental, emotion, physical. And I know so many people we talk to think, once they get on the metaphysical path, it's all going to be roses, and not so true. So what is your take on a spiritual journey?
I would say that it is definitely not roses. But to be on a spiritual journey, wow, that's a great question. It's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. I think that it will push you to your limits. I think it is the bravest souls on this planet who have the greatest missions to do, who choose to reignite their light, because your light is there. Every single person on this planet, 7 billion people, have a great, glorious, beautiful, phenomenal, bright, impenetrable, never not been their kind of light. And for people who in this lifetime are going to choose to turn that light back on and to walk the path that it has you walk, it's like once you turn on that light, there's no going back, and you have to be willing for whatever journey it takes. And unfortunately, the first chunk of time after you reignite your light oftentimes is a purification process. You have to start clearing your karma. You got to start balancing all the things that you've got in the world, not just in this lifetime, but in every lifetime. And you have to start finding what makes you tick, what turns you on. How do you stay bright? How do you deal with the negativity of the world? How can you hold that space when the rest of the world still feels like a swamp and hasn't lit their light up yet? How do you hold that big bright light and know that the person that you love the most is still struggling in their ego, and you can't do anything to get them faster along their path of turning their light on? Sometimes it's a lonely path, and sometimes it is a path where you just want to kill everybody. And I say that in the most loving way, I really do. But it's not that you want to kill everybody. You just kind of want to poke at their egos and say, God, there's another way. Just ask me and I'll be happy to tell you. And you have to really master being unconditional. It's some of the hardest stuff I've ever seen. And the people that I coach and the intuitive training that I do with my private clients, I watch them. It takes time to build the muscle of patience and unconditionality and faithfulness, and to know that you're truly not a victim to this world, that you are here to serve it and to master it. And actually, when you get to that point, when your purification is done, that's when the fun starts. Unfortunately, most people are still in that purification process and they kind of get lost along the way. But one of the things that I love about the rays, and what I'm supremely grateful for, is that when you invoke the rays, which are the highest frequencies in the healing world, when you invoke those to help you, you really only have to do 1% of the work. And when you partner with the guides on the rays and they add their strength to your strength to deal with anything that you have to deal with, you use so much less of your battery and you're running on their battery. And that causes the evolution to happen so much faster, for the healing to go so much deeper, for the dispensations to be so much greater, that literally something that should take you hundreds of lifetimes, meaning your own mastery and your enlightenment, it can literally be done in one lifetime. And so as you're calling on these rays and you allow them to be a part of you, it accelerates the journey. And I think that I've been so lucky to have had them ignited in me. I remember being in those temples before I chose to come into this lifetime, and to be shown my purpose for coming here. That's something that's available to anybody. I'm not doing anything that you can't do, that your listeners can't do. This is something that is available truly to absolutely anybody who wants to go there. But it does require courage, and it does require surrender, and it does require persistence and devotion and integrity and authenticity and ruthlessness when it comes to following your own light, and to truly say, above all things, to die in oneself be true. That's what it takes. And it's worth every single thing that you have to put into it.
Yeah, I love how you focus on that, because it does, my husband and I have been studying the metaphysics for 20 plus years. And so it does take that dedication and devotion. And now you're taking your amazing gifts and talents and doing workshops all around the world. And you've got a Japan trip coming up in a couple days. So tell us a little about that, and also how people can get in touch with you.
Well, Japan was truly a gift from the universe. I I was around some great people one day, and I saw somebody else traveling around the world, expressing their passion and bringing their light to other people. And I just said, you know what, I want to do that too. And next thing I know, I got an email and was invited to Japan. And there's a wonderful company that I work with over there who brings in metaphysical teachers. And I have an incredible respect for them because they're bringing teachers of the light into a space that is really starting to awaken. The Japanese people are starting to turn on their light and reignite their passions. And it's a society that has so many amazing qualities. They consider each other before they consider themselves. They consider the collective consciousness before they behave selfishly in everything that they do. And I've been to Japan probably 8 or 9 times. I think this is going to be my 9th trip over there. And I have learned so much from them about how to be conscious and aware of other people, how to become synchronistic, and how to be synergistic. So they've really taught me a lot. And I'm so grateful for that. And then I get to get back to them and teach them some of the tools from the rays so that they can really ground their light and find out which ray they belong on and their passion and their purpose and find their path. So it's been an honor to be one of their teachers, and I'm really looking forward to seeing them this summer because I'm going to be doing some training classes with them. So how can people get a hold of me? Really the easiest is to go to my website, which is www.leannesummers.com. Or if you prefer, you can go to my other website. They're actually linked together. It's easier to remember though. It's lovebeingyou.com.
I love that. Love being you, because so much of us, so many people, don't even love themselves. So that is a very enticing, title to get people. Oh yeah, that sounds really good. And also, Leanne, now you do private sessions and phone sessions. And what would that kind of look like if somebody wanted to work with you on a one-to-one basis?
Well, just call me up, send me a text, or shoot me an email, and I'm more than happy to look at our calendar and see what fits. But I do in-person sessions out of Dania Beach, Florida. So if you're local to me, I'm more than happy to welcome you into my home office. If you prefer to do Skype, or, some people like to be seen, some people don't like to be seen, and I'm open to either one. But I'm happy to work remotely, even around the world, as long as our time schedules match up. It's no problem. I've got clients all over the place.
Awesome. And so now you are going to be speaking at, I just want to talk a little about the Reignite Your Life event, which is just around the corner here, the end of June 22nd and 23rd. And the Reignite Your Light Summit, where Leanne will be speaking if you would like to meet her in person. This is an event that's really meant for transformation, personal transformation. It's about releasing limiting thoughts and beliefs. It's about discovering what's important and how to listen to that inner calling. It's about living the light. Who are you really? And experiencing more abundance, more passion in your life. And Robin Rose is the creator of the Universal Light Workers events. I've been part of one in the past, and they are amazing. Robin just gets together the most amazing groups of people. So I highly encourage anybody who is interested to go to reigniteyourlightevents.com and register. I think there is still a special going on to register, and it will all take place right on the beach in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And do you have a particular topic you're going to be talking about at the event, Leanne?
Yes. Well, actually, my topic is going to be live, love, and be you. So excited.
Well, so are we, and we're going to be there. So
yeah, we look forward to seeing you in Florida. And thank you so much for being on our show today.
It's my pleasure, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You are very welcome. And this has been Spirit's Journey, and we love having you with us. So please check out our Facebook page at Spirit's Journey Radio, and be sure to like our page so that you can stay up with all of our events and our great guests like Leanne. And you are listening to us on Truth Frequency Radio and simulcast on Oneness Talk Radio.
We'll see you next week. Have an awesome week, everyone.
Goodbye for now.